For as long as I can remember, I've had a deep desire to be a mom to twins. I wouldn't call it an obsession because I was never devastated to find out I had one baby growing inside of me. My husband and I wanted to grow our family, and we had been blessed with tiny new life. I felt so much joy at the birth of each of our 4 singleton girls. It was never a disappointment, even in the slightest. When our youngest of the 4 girls was born, we began to furiously work on the paperwork that comes with adoption, something that we had both felt called to since childhood. We didn't know exactly what would come of all of it, but we knew we had more room in our hearts and our home to love a boy or girl that needed a family. As I boarded a plane to leave the U.S. for the first time ever and to travel to a little country in East Africa, our youngest daughter was just 8 months old. Everything in me hated to leave my young family, but my mother's heart knew that they were safe and that one of my children wasn't. When I saw our son for the first time in an orphanage filled with 53 children, ages 4 years and younger, my spirit suddenly knew why I'd been given that deep desire and love for twins. At just 3 months older than his little sister, our now 5-year-olds have been raised as virtual twins for 4 years now. I truly felt that twin thing leave me then. I was raising twins of my heart. So when 2 more of our boys came home from Uganda, Africa 2 years later, and we began raising another set of virtual twins as 5-year-olds, I just laughed at the thought that I once thought I'd be pregnant with twins, but ended up with 2 sets of them in a totally different way. So I know this is hard to follow. Let's recap for a minute. We then had a 10, 8, and 7-year-old, 2 5-year-olds, and 2 3-year-olds. That's 7 kids. A month later, we got the sweet news that our family would be growing yet again, with a little life in my stomach. I couldn't get into the doctor right away. Our family was actually heading on a trip to Uganda together. So at 16 weeks, I finally got in to be seen. The midwife squirted the warm jelly and placed the wand on my stomach. I immediately saw their tiny heads. 2 babies. Oh, I giggled. I couldn't stop laughing. The midwife actually had to ask me to stop so that my belly would be still enough for her to see the babies. By the way, my husband was there with me. He seriously asked the midwife if they served margaritas. Our family would grow by 4 in just under 11 months. We're now a family of 11. In all honesty, I don't know how it happened. Okay, well, trust me, that's another question I get. You know how this happens, right? I figure the best answer to that pretty intrusive, patronizing question is, yep, we're really good at it. Our plan was to have 3 or maybe 4 kids, and here we have 9. I'm thankful that I trust one whose plans might be different than my own, but they're always best. We're figuring out this big family thing, and we're thriving in it most of the time. One of the reasons that I've heard over and over again as a reason not to have a big family is the fact that people believe that there can't possibly be enough time to give each child the attention that they deserve. People seem to think the children get lost in the chaos, unheard, and disconnected. Although it takes some intentionality, I'd argue that just the opposite is true. We make a very intentional effort to know each of our 9 children, to hear them, to see them, and to validate them. We're super careful with their screen time, favoring face-to-face and working together over it. I've learned to take full advantage of one-on-one time with children, even if it's just a child that wanders in as I put on makeup or to tell me something as I cook dinner. We try to learn how each of them receives love the best and empower them as individuals. Oh, and the babies, the poor almost 2-year-old babies that get lost in the shuffle. Well, that couldn't be farther from the truth. They have 9 sets of hands ready to hold them and love them. My pregnancy with them and their birth has brought us all together as a team in sweeter ways than I could have dreamed. At bedtime, I sometimes get selfish and impatient, ready for my me time. I'm always thankful for the many times I do get it right, though, taking time beside each of them in their bed, chatting silly and fears and questions and hopes and dreams. I often hear parts of their day that I would have had no idea had happened. That lady was so old and lonely, Mom. Our 7-year-old girl has a blunt honesty with her words. She's recalling delivering the hollowed-out pumpkins that we filled with flowers to gift to the widows in our church. I asked her how she knew that she was lonely, and she replied that the woman told her. "Oh, how good it is to see you," she said. "I remember the days when my house was noisy with children. Now it just feels so lonely." We were the ones that wanted to bring her a gift, but she gave me one that day. She reaffirmed what I know to be true. No family will ever be perfect. My family size doesn't have to be yours. Yet, even if you don't know how you got here, this is your here and your now. Connect now. Hold tight now. Stay in the now, steadfast with each of them, because it really is true how quickly it all slips by.